Right, so this will be the last recording for this particular sessions. So labor cost is actually, like it's inclusive of wages, the wages payable, benefit in terms of annual leave, and also in terms of non-working time. Some cases, if you talk about management level, you talk about travel allowances, meal allowances, phone allowances, and all this will be part of your labor cost. Okay, so your per unit of labor cost, this is how you come up with your per unit of labor cost. So engineers labor cost is how much, site supervisor labor cost is how much, that's management cost. Sorry, I'm a bit blur. So just to talk about labor cost as in, below supervision team, like for example skilled workers, unskilled workers, and also semi-skilled workers, you are talking about downtime, you're talking about they are not coming to work, you're talking about paying them certain amount and then divide by 30 days or 26 days, and that is their rate per day. So it's the actual working plus the non-working plus the benefit work, insurances and taxes, and also non-productive time. So these are, if you talk about this 50 ringgit per day to 100 ringgit per day, we're talking about, all these things inclusive. Okay, this is what we're trying to get at. And then also management, if you talk about supervision teams and above, it's also the same thing. There will be like meal allowances, phone allowances, and hostel allowances, even, site allowances, car allowances, petrol allowances, all these will be made and parcel of that unit that you are looking at, you see. So don't just say that, you're paying $2,000 and you just $2,000 for the engineer, but actually all these other expenses add up, you're actually paying $3,000 a month, you see. So you have to be very careful, and if there's any other claims that is coming in, that is all part and parcel of the cost. So you must calculate your component of cost or the rate very carefully. Okay, subcontractor can be done by lump sum. Normally it's a lump sum, and then sometimes it's on the work that is remeasured or done by on-site measurement. Okay, equipment and plant is the same thing like labor. You talk about the ownership component, meaning that how much to own the particular machines, and then you need to also count in the cost of replacing, the downtime, the maintenance, this is the annual, and then the replacement, the routine maintenance, the fuel cost, the operator cost. So your $1,000 per day or $500 per day must have all these things inclusive. So you don't take it like, oh, my machine cost is just my ownership divide by, I can use this machine, I'm buying this machine for 100,000 inclusive of interest, I can use it for 5 years, I divide by 5, and then this is 20k, so I'm using this for 20k is about 1,000 plus per month, so therefore my rate is 1,000 plus per month, and I divide by 26 days of working, and that's few 100 plus per month. So that is totally wrong, you see. So when you come up with that rate, the ownership component plus the replacement component plus the routine maintenance component plus the all the license fees or fuel costs, operator costs must be in that one particular rate. So you see, when we talk about estimates, okay, it's actually very simple formula. It's actually just the quantity times by the rate. So quantity you need to work out from your project. So as long as you know what is the quantity, it can come from the drawings, it can come from the BQs, it can come from the design. So quantity is fixed, more or less fixed, okay, unless you have extra work or you underestimate some quantity. So the issue with quantity is just basically you need to make sure that it's the right quantity, is as accurate as possible. And the rate bit is what I'm talking about for this particular recording. So the rate bit is very critical. You don't want to put in a rate, you times by a rate that is too low, and we're talking about times, we're not talking about add, you see. So if you times by the rate that is too low, you will have an issue, you see, of not being able to fulfill the contract carefully and being out of budget later on. And it's a very serious crime in engineering if you don't estimate properly. It really shows your bad skills as it's really show your very, very unprofessional level as the person who are in charge of the project. So here, what we're going through now is how do you come up with that rate, you see. So that rate must include all these things, okay. So material, of course, we have our permanent material, which is usually by meter cube, by meter square, formwork and all that. And also you will also have allowances for wastage, allowances for unchecked qualities, provision for certain materials that you need to put aside because you're not so sure about it during the contract, like piling, for example. There can be provisional sum because you can estimate that this you're gonna do like, you're gonna piles like 10,000 meter of piles, but then actually the actual calculation will be based on the on-site rate, on-site quantity. So that itself you need to estimate, but they are considered as provisional. Okay, so here these are things dealing with material, and material in terms of procurement we need to be very careful. We also need to look at the billing cycle, meaning that if the supplier can give you 30 days and 60 days and 90 days and 120 days of payment, you will manage your cash very differently. So we'll talk about that more in cost management later. This is more on what we call cost management. Financial management dealings with cash flow and all that. Yes, it's also part of the engineering, what engineer must learn to do as well. Okay, and again, you need to really look at many components when it comes to the suppliers and supplying of materials and labor and equipment, because you will also need to look into whether the quality of the items are actually, because you buy things, there's some that is lower quality, there's some higher quality, there's some imported, there's some made in China, made in India, kind of thing. Nowadays we don't talk about made in China anymore, we talk about made in maybe Indonesia or in India, for example, or made in Vietnam. So these are maybe different quality, and you need to make sure that the things that you get are actually fully legal as well. You don't want to get anything that is from smuggling, and it can be a very serious crime if you do that, because our engineering site is actually a big site, and usually you will deal with authorities and all that, and a lot of the engineering product will be handed over to the authority later on as well. And if you're actually going to use the smuggled goods, or substandard goods from Australia, not Australia, from Indonesia, then you will probably have an issue later on. It's a crime, you see. So all these are actually part and parcel of costs, that you need to look at, and the procurement systems that you're looking at, the delivery schedule, the dates of payment. It will make a lot of difference in terms of cost management, in terms of the rate that you're going to put down. So if you're going to put down, if the billing cycle is longer, you may actually consider it as a lower rate for that particular work that is to be done, you see. So payment conditions, terms, insurances, do you need insurances, do you need shipping documents, do you need agent to go and release the documents? All this will make a lot of difference in terms of the rate later on. So ladies and gentlemen, when you calculate your construction costs, the rate is so important. I cannot emphasize on that enough. How much thoughts you have put into the rate will make a difference in terms of whether you can manage the job, get the job and manage the job well to the end, and make a profit out of it. There's no point of losing money, if you know that you're going to lose money and you embark onto a project. Yes, there are situations that you will lose money, but you still embark onto the job. Why? There are many companies who runs things like when they're low on job, they will embark onto job that will not make money, because it's just to pay off their expenses in that sense, so they can really quote very low. And you do not want to be in that kind of project all the time. It's not right, And if you're not making money, you cannot give your staff bonuses, you cannot improve on the situation in your project, you cannot have even a little bit of tiny storm in your project. If there's a little bit of problem coming out, you go bankrupt, because of that, you see. So we're dealing with a lot of money here, so it's have to be very careful. So I'll talk about that in terms of cost control, cost management, okay. And here we will just stop at cost component, indirect costs. So go through this, okay, and we'll stop at this. So this one here, the next section on 19 onwards is more on cost control. So tomorrow I'll show you how to do detailed estimates, how to do detailed estimates. Sorry, Thursday I'll show you how to do detailed estimates, and also maybe we'll move into how to do S-curve. This is all part of planning, okay. And then after that, when you come back from your SEM break, we will proceed with financial control and all that. Okay, thank you.